They would not talk about anything. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, the Goswamis took it forward, the Lord Chaitanya's teachings. Then later, Narottam Takur, Shyamananda, and what is that? Srinivasa Acharya. Actually, Dukhi Krishna, I forgot to mention, I'm mentioning it as, Dukhi Krishna who became Shaman. So, and after that, then Krishna Jagat Thakur, then Ballavi Devotion. So 200 years later, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, actually, the darkness came into this full moon of, Gaudiya Bhakti tradition. Then, and it was actually revived by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote civils 14 times, and Britishers were failing him. But he told Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, look, I am not looking for, Britishers were always scared of educated Indians because who will create revolution. So he told Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was actually, was well connected with British those days. I'm not looking for the type of revolution they're thinking. Tell them I'm looking for spiritual revolution. That's when they told, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar told British, this guy is not dangerous. Then they passed him, and that's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur became magistrate. But there were 14 Apasampradayas that time, preaching Lord Chaitanya's, I mean, they were the actually, the representatives of Lord Chaitanya's Bhakti tradition. They're all Apasampradaya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur realized, alone he would not do it. He prayed intensely, to Jagannath, send me a ray of Vishnu. And listening to his prayers, February 6th, 1874, he was blessed with a baby boy. That is Bhakti, that is a Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. He named him Vimal Prasad. And after that, so during Rath Yatra time, Jagannath cart stopped in front of his home. Taking this opportunity, his mother, Bhagavati Devi, took Saraswati Thakur, the baby boy, and placed him under the feet of Jagannath. Immediately the garland fell. And the Pujari exclaimed, this boy one day will become a great devotee. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood. Jagannath Swami answered his prayers. So when he was born on February 6, 1874, he was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, implying that he was born with a Brahmin thread. Annaprasana ceremony, he held Bhagavatam, grain feeding ceremony, he held Bhagavatam, indicating his future activity. So his mother, when he was still a child, they had to go. They were transferred from Jagannath Puri to Navadip, and they came back. And his mother would teach him all the spiritual, stories, Krishna stories. And at the age of 4, so his mother and father would not feed anything that is not prasad to the children. Very wonderful, wonderful activity actually. All the parents should take it up. So they would not feed anything but prasad to the children only. So one day his father brought mangoes, and Saraswati Thakur was hardly 3-4-3-year-old. So he wanted to, he wanted to, small boy, right, So he was very elated when he saw them, elated to eat. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur mildly rebuked him. How can you eat when it's not prasad offered to Krishna. Hare Krishna. That's it. Saraswati Thakur never ate mangoes. He would eat mango, but the kacha mango chutney. But he never ate, the mango as a fruit, because India is known for mangoes. Mango is the king of the fruits, but he never ate. Whenever somebody would bring him, he would say, I'm an offender. So anyway, at the age of 7, he mastered Bhagavad Gita, and he would speak very elaborately. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur taught him proofreading and printing, and so Bhaktivinoda Thakur was trying to build a Bhakti Bhavan. That's where they found out Kurmadev deity, and he gave it to his son to worship at the age of 7. Saraswati Thakur started worshipping deity, Kurmadev from age 7. So then he started going to school at the age of, when he was in 5th grade. He came up with what is that? Shorthand, something like shorthand called Bicanto. It's like a shorthand, He invented that style, Then 1892, he joined Sanskrit college, and he studied philosophy and Vedas there, entire Siddhanta, So there was a teacher by name Prithvidhar Sharma. He studied Vedas under him, and the Siddhanta also, In 1897, at the age of 23, he started his own Sanskrit school, and he would come up with the magazines. Amen. And he also developed interest in taste in astrology and astronomy, scholar in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy. And because of his interest, he postulated a doctrine called Surya Siddhanta. And because of that, he got the name Siddhanta Saraswati. Actually, at a very young age, Calcutta University offered him chair, department, is the head of the department for department head of the department for for this astrology, which he rejected. In 1895, maybe at the age of 21, he took up a position as an editor in Tripura government, but he didn't like it. He saw politics, give it up. So at the age of 24, 1898, he started traveling with his father all the different places of pilgrimage. And he had a conversation with somebody by name Ram Shastra Mishra of Sri Sampradaya. That's from there his life took a turn. Seeing his deep interest, his father told him, he developed the inclination towards renunciation. So Saraswati Thakur, seeing that, told him to get initiated. Receive initiation from, not from him, but Yugal Kishore Das Bhoji Maharaj. Yugal Kishore Das Bhoji Maharaj would, a very Siddha, accomplished Siddha. He would experience Ashtakali Leela, the eightfold pastimes of Krishna, at different times. And very, very accomplished. He would wear the cowpens, the clothes discarded by the dead bodies. The people would throw the clothes of dead bodies on the trash. He'd pick up and wear it. For a outside world, he was like an eccentric personality. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew he was very advanced. He would cook in the broken pot. He would cook rice and offer it to Krishna and eat it. Wow. So, and sometimes he would eat Ganga mud. Just take mud and eat. Amazing, right? Amazing or not?
Yes, Prabhuji. Very difficult to perceive, Prabhuji.
I know. So, I'm taking a little water, I'm sorry. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur told him, just don't come back, don't come home without receiving initiation. So he approached Saraswathi. He didn't agree. He did not have any disciples. Like Lokas, humility said, I cannot. So that way, Bhaktivinoda, Yugal Kishore Das Maharaj, he said, no, I cannot initiate. After again and again requesting after a long time, he said, I'll ask Gaurahari, you'll ask Lord Chaitanya, I'll get back. Saraswati Thakur was a little happy because there is some progress. So he went next, no, I forgot. He went. So again, he went again and again and again. Did you ask? No, I forgot. I forgot to ask my Gaurahari. He waited, for a very long time. But he said, what is that? Your Lord is, I don't want to say. Anyway, so he waited for a long time and he said, yes, Ramanuja waited 18 times to get initiated to receive initiation from Koshtipurna. So I have no problem, I'll wait. He waited for a very long time. And eventually Lord Chaitanya he appeared in the dream of Gaur Kishore Das Maharaj and said to initiate Saraswati Thakur. So saying is, what is that? His determination. Saraswati Thakur initiated, Gaur Kishore Das Maharaj initiated him. And, he initiated him around 1905. Saraswati Thakur took a vow, determined to chant 190 rounds. He near Lord Chaitanya's birthplace, he established a hut and he would chant every day 190 rounds. 192 rounds. And one time there was a cyclone and the roof flew off. So if he would go and repair the roof, and definitely he would notice that, he would not finish his rounds. So what he did, with an umbrella on the top, he just chanted in that cyclone, in that storm, for 4 days, not eating anything, but continued his rounds. Hare Krishna. So one time what happened, the Maharaj of Kasim Bajar, so he invited him to speak Actually, Saraswati Takur loved Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, he loved Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so when he was asked to speak on, I mean, if you don't think as a small deviation, I'm sorry, I came little forward. I'll go little back, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur would always make connections with the scholarly people of the society to to establish the importance of Vaishnavism. Otherwise those days, Mayavadi organizations are very famous, and because, like as I said, what is his name? After Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Balavi Bhushan, I probably 150 years of what is that? Silence in Gaudiya Vaishnavas happened. No, silence in the sense, in the name, in the name of Radha Krishna worship, wrong things would happen. Wrong things would happen. For that reason, society practically, um, more or less, it was practiced by, very advanced people like Bhagavadas Babaji Maharaj. They would practice in seclusion, and society would only know these people are, we cannot understand that they have this, illicit sex, intoxication, they're all. So basically, what is that? Society abandoned the quote-unquote Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to bring that glory, that forgotten glory, and the past glory. So what he would do is he would connect to intellectuals. You should all do that actually, connect to intellectuals. And Rajaram Mohan Rai, Dayanand Saraswati, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he would connect to them. Actually, you can see this scholarly ability in his books. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So he had this, when he would chant Bhaktivinoda Thakur, So do you know why greatness of Vaishnavism is? Bhakti Gaudiya Vaishnavism is, after Prema there are 16 stages. Even after Prema, Bhaktivinoda Thakur he would chant the holy name on that level. So what is that fifth level after Prema? I forgot. Pranaya or Mana. That is a stage you would chant that holy name. So one day, what is that? Actually, Saraswati Takur is called Simhaguru. Simhaguru means power. I always liked this because, what is that? He was like a, in his call, when he was in his school, India those days, because his father was a magistrate. So naturally he would go to definitely some high-fi school only. So the one day the teachers would come and teach. They're all English, British. And they would come with Bible. They would try to, So Saraswati Takur said, so does anyone did anyone read Bible? He asked. This, Saraswati Takur was hardly 5th grade. He said, the readings are Bible, but he did not know somebody in the audience read it as a small boy. He said that I can compare the teachings of Bible. My Lord, give me my daily bread. It is like the worship of our Shaktas in Hindu tradition, he said. So because Shaktas means what? Demigod worship what? My Lord, give me that, give me this. So he compared, Saraswati Takur compared Christianity with, demigod worship actually. The professor was shocked. And Rajaram Mohan Rai was a big social reformer those days. And he had a good relation with Bhaktivinoda Thakur as a magistrate, So one day, he came to Bhaktivinoda Thakur home, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur naturally, received him because Rajaram Mohan Rai would work with British government. Bentinck, inspired by Rajaram Mohan Rai, he abolished the sati system. So Saraswati Thakur went to him. But those days, unfortunately, practically it's impersonalism. Scholarly people would adopt him, scholars would adopt the process of impersonalism, even if they were quote unquote spiritual. So Rajaram Mohan Rai, so Saraswati Thakur was introduced to him by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is my son. Saraswati Thakur was hardly 7th grade. So he went to Rajaram Mohan Rai and said, "Why you wrote like this in your books? Do you know how God is personal or impersonal?" Rajaram Mohan Rai was shocked seeing that the baldness. If you do not know how God looks like, you cannot tell this. So in other words, he was finding he was actually telling his mistakes. You may be very famous, but the truth is truth. Absolute truth is absolute truth. You cannot change it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned the exam, what I'm going to tell you. I told before also. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was initiated by, Vipin Vihari Goswami, So one day, this guru came. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has offered obeisances to his guru, prostrate obeisances. His guru placed his feet on the head of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And actually, guru places his feet on your head, you'll find it very nice, right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur considered that a blessing and he went home, went inside. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was standing next to him and said, he asked him, "You think you are so advanced to place your feet on a Nitya Siddha devotee like my father and bless him? Do you have that ability and a qualification to do that?" Guru was shocked. And he went in when the Bhaktivinoda Thakur came in. He told Kedar Babu, your son is, very bold to the extent rude. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't know what happened. So, of course, later there's problem came in, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur took shelter of Jaina, Jainadas Babaji Maharaj. So anyway, so one day he was in college. I forgot his name. He's actually, very famous personality, very, very famous in Indian history, actually. He was the vice chancellor for this Calcutta University. The university as the Thakur joined. So this is the first day of the college, freshers day. So naturally, vice chancellor coming to freshers class is impossible. But this is like India, what is that? 100 years ago. So he came to the college, he came to the freshers class, and he wanted to make all the students comfortable. So he started talking. And in that process he said, what is that? I don't speak about God so much because I don't know God is personal or impersonal. He unnecessarily brought the topic, not knowing that there is a student in the class. You're all listening?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Continue this? Or actually, no, I just took a detour from whatever I'm speaking, and I just, so it's interesting, right?
It is very
Yes,
interesting.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
So,
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I, actually, you will talk to, like, for example, some students, what you will do, you'll share your experience, right, as a vice chancellor. So he's telling, I really do not know how God looks like. That's why, I don't speak so much about God because, I don't know whether he's personal or impersonal. Like that, he starts speaking. You want to know why I got his name, actually, I think it's this. Anyway, so then Saraswati Thakur got up. He's just a fresher, first year in college. When you say like this, you don't know whether
I can't hear Prabhuji.
Yeah, I can't hear you as well, Prabhuji. You're frozen.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you now. Prabhuji, you have to start from Bhaktisidhanta Saraswathi. Takur started speaking to the Vice Chancellor.
Vice Chancellor.
Someone has to mute.
Prabhuji.
So, what is that? One minute. Actually, I turned on my phone. So, no. So then Saraswati Thakur said, if you think, God is like, when you say like this, actually what he said, I really do not know whether, whether I don't speak about God, that's what I was speaking. Because I don't know whether God is, what is that, personal or impersonal. Then Saraswati Thakur said, if you think like this, then you are telling, but you wrote a book recently, you wrote a book recently where you said, he quoted the verse, Nirakar Tumi, oh my Lord, your form is impersonal. You quoted that. But today you are telling in the class, you do not know whether God is personal, impersonal. Why you wrote in that book like that? And, this has put the, that Vice Chancellor, this made him, this was, he was shocked actually, Saraswati Thakur was very, very bold. He was very, very bold. That's why it's called Simhaguru. What is that? Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harani. Madhuri Ujjala Premaja Rupani Bhakti Srigaura Karuna Shakti. Yeah. Actually, I thought it is Ishwara Chandra Vijayasagar only. Ishwara Chandra Vijayasagar is the one. But anyway, Shri Gaura Karunashakti Vigraha Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtiya Dinatarana Rupanaga Viruddha Apasiddhanta. So if anybody presents anyone postulates a theory, it is again which is against the Siddhanta of Rupa Goswami, he would be heavy with them actually. He would be heavy with them. What is that? So when this this Maharaj of Qasim Bajar, when he asked him to speak, he went and 4 days he spoke very briefly. Every day a little bit, because there were other sampradayas. For that reason, Saraswati Thakur did not eat there. Did not even take a drop of water. Then 4 days later, he came back to Mayapur and then he ate. So when this Maharaj came to know that that king came to know that Saraswati Thakur did not even eat, he asked for apologies actually. I'm very, very sorry, because in the name of pure bhakti, these people, they have malpractices, which was Saraswati Thakur, which Saraswati Thakur condemned very strongly. On one hand, caste Goswamis, they would say, what is that? You need to, to Vaishnava, you need to take initiation from us only. You need to take birth, by birth Vaishnava was very, very famous. And and caste Goswamis also, like so Nityananda Vamsa, and what is that? From Advaita Charya Nityananda. So now that those descendants, they would claim the credits because of their lineages, which was strongly condemned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Saraswati Thakur definitely. So that's why what is that? The people did not like him to the extent they wanted to kill him. Actually, he was that much bold. To the extent that they wanted to kill him. So I was listening to a lecture. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj says, see, their opponents loved him. That is the opponents not loved. Sorry, that is their respect for him. Means you are going. We accept our defeat. You are going so fast, but you are going so fast to stop us, which we don't like. So to the extent they want, they have gone to the extent of killing him. So that was the value of Saraswati Thakur actually. Anyway, what is that? After this, one day Lord Chaitanya appeared with 6 Goswamis and said, "Don't worry, you will just continue your preaching. Try to preach a pure bhakti. Try to preach a pure bhakti." And then Saraswati Thakur, picked up strength, started preaching the pure bhakti tradition. So 1911, the problem between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, arose. So Brahmanas, Smartha Brahmins, they say we are, what is that? Because the Brahmanas' position is highest. So Vaishnavas means, Bhaktivinoda Thakur teachings, anyone can become Vaishnava. Based on Sanatana Goswami, what is that? Through the alchemy process, you can convert, gold. So what is that? You can metal into gold. So, so the Sudra cannot become Vaishnava. So, and Brahmana position is the topmost. So there was a convention held. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very sick by this time. Saraswati Thakur wrote, what is that? Saraswati Thakur wrote, article and showed it to his father. And despite being very ill, Bhaktivinoda Thakur read it, and actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited, but because of illness he could not go, but he gave full blessings to his son. So when Saraswati Thakur went, first he spoke the glories of Brahmanas, to the satisfaction of Brahmins present. They liked it because, everyone felt he's in the opposite party, he's an opponent, but he's glorifying you. So he was quoting different shastras, saying how Brahmana is the topmost of Varnashram, So he was quoting it, they liked very much. Just give me 1 minute. Then so he was quoting. Then he started telling Brahmana not by birth but by qualities. He started quoting the qualities of Brahmana from Gita and other shastras. Then then he started quoting how he quoted how Brahmana is the highest in the Varnashram Dharma. Then later he started quoting Brahmana means by qualities. All the qualities, enumerated the qualities of Brahmana. Brahma karma swahaj. He quoted all the qualities. He's telling whoever possesses these qualities, he or she is Brahmana. Then Then he started talking about a Vaishnava. How a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, but Brahmana is not a Vaishnava. And a Vaishnava does not belong to Varnashram. Vaishnava is transcendental. And the problem is they could not condemn because they don't know whatever the information is presenting, either on Brahmanism or Vaishnavism, they don't know. So the people, his opponents, could not open his mouth. End of his lecture, this was actually the biggest victory for Bhaktivinoda Takur, and of course Saraswati Takur also. And what they did, they put it, they brought buckets of water. They put his bucket of water, they put his feet in that bucket of water. And forcefully, they lifted him and put his feet in the bucket of water. And what they did, they sprinkled this water on all the devotees. Wow, this is the personality who would, would uphold the principles of Rupa and Raghunath, and they would preach the pure bhakti of Lord Chaitanya. Amazing, 1914, actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur disappeared. And a year later, Bhaktisidhanta, Yugal Kishore disappeared. Saraswati Thakur felt very, he was very lonely, because he lost his guru and father. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur at the time of leaving asked him to preach the, message of Lord Chaitanya, preaching love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. And his mother also requested him few years later, requesting him to preach the message of pure bhakti, message of Lord Chaitanya. So he took it very seriously and started very aggressively preaching. So as I said, there were 14 sects, apasampradayas, and 14 apasampradayas, but he had no problem confronting with them. One time, actually, he went to Bangladesh to preach. So then he got a message, so people are coming with, they're coming as a gang to kill him. So then he had to escape. That's when Bhakti Pragyana Maharaj, so Prabhupada, the Sannyas Guru, his Prabhupada Godbrother and Sannyas Guru. So what he did, Guru Maharaj, please, you can change my clothes, you wear my clothes and you escape, and I'll wear your clothes. And so they changed the clothes. And Saraswati Thakur wearing the white clothes of Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Maharaj, I think. So he left, and Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Maharaj was in saffron clothes. But when the the gang came, they realized it is not Saraswati Thakur. They realized it's not Saraswati Thakur, actually, So that's how Saraswati Thakur was saved. More or less like the story of Kurish and Ramanuja, actually. So this Rohini Kumar Ghosh, he was actually a brahmachari. So he was actually nephew of a Chief Justice. So he wanted to dedicate his life and join full time. So he joined full time in a Baul temple. So then he was practicing it. So one day, but he did not like their practices. And one day, what happened? He went to Yogapit. There Saraswati Thakur was lecturing. So Saraswati Thakur was lecturing, and when he heard the lecture, he was impressed. Wow. He was impressed. But after the lecture was over, he went back to his temple, this Baul temple, which is Apasampradaya. So in the night, he had a dream where this, the temple, whatever, the president and his wife, they came like a tiger and tigress. They're about to kill him. Then suddenly Saraswati Thakur appeared in his dream and saved him from this tiger and tigress. Then what he did? Immediately next day morning, he gave up he gave the temple and their association and came and joined his temple. His brother Ananda Prasad Datta, his elder brother actually, his elder brother became very sick, and Saraswati Takur started chanting the holy name. Start chanting the holy name, and in the previous life, his brother, I think, he did some aparadha, but because of his exalted status, he appeared in a Vaishnava family, and Saraswati Takur kept on chanting. So just before leaving the body, Vaishnava Tilak appeared, Tilaka Brahmana Sampradaya, and appeared and he left the world. Whatever little bit karma, Saraswati Thakur told him, keep on chanting, keep on chanting. So he kept chanting with him, and Saraswati Thakur also kept chanting. And because of that, yet in perfection, Vaishnava Tilak appeared on his face, and he went back to Godhead. He went back to Vaikuntha. And what is that one time? Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the one, he found the place of God, He excavated the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, but the temple was built by Saraswati Thakur with all the opposition, Same thing. He did not find any right guru to give him sannyas. So he took, in front of the picture of his Guru Maharaj, he placed danda and he took sannyas. Anyway, so one day, just before Janmashtami, so it was the whole temple was flooded with Ganga water, and there was nothing to offer to deities, no milk. So Saraswati Thakur said, hey, there is no milk to offer to the deities, and nothing is there for devotees also. So immediately by his just mere his desire, what is that? The local zamindar was inspired. So he sent all the items on a boat. And Saraswati Thakur, when it was time for Prasad was there. He was surprised. He asked, who brought it? We had nothing. Then they told the whole thing. He went to in the temple room and prayed to the deities, my Lord, I had to put you in trouble, so that, you had to inspire somebody to send all these things. I'm very, very sorry, what is that? Yugal Kishore Maharaj told him, never ever go to Calcutta. He said, Guru Maharaj, I'll never go to Calcutta. But do you know, he went to Calcutta or not? He never went to Calcutta. But he went to Calcutta, right? No. So what he did, he established temples. Temples, they are all Vaikuntha extensions, Golok Vrindavan extensions. And because, his father wanted him to preach. Preaching has to happen. Prabhupada time, even 1870, as of 1970s, there were no, practically today morning, what is that, Kavichandran was telling, nobody would be there, very few people would come once in a while. Or to speak of early 19th century. So people are there in Calcutta. So Guru Maharaj's instruction, don't go to Calcutta. So how he managed it, both his father's request and Guru's request, he went, acquired temples, he would preach and come back. So he never went to Calcutta. All the temples he built, and they are all extensions. He stayed in the Golok Vrindavan extensions, these consulates of Golok Vrindavan, he would stay in Calcutta temples. and he would come back. He would come back. That's how he never violated the order of his Guru Maharaj, actually. And he established printing presses. Brahad Prudanga, he called them. He'll, and what is the thing? Can you, in those days, he wore, what is that, shoes. And he wore like, coats. He had 3 cars. It was never heard of. Yukta Vairagya, emblem, Saraswati Takur was emblem, Nothing for personal, but everything for the pleasure of Krishna, everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Yukta Vairagya, he showed everyone how to apply Yukta Vairagya in one's life, actually. So what is that? Under him, preaching flourished. Even the devotees, he has 7 periodicals, 7 magazines. And he started actually a newspaper. Somebody said, you're starting a newspaper. Eventually you will run out of news because, you have Bhagavad Gita. Saraswati Takur said, Supreme Lord Krishna Chandra is the Lord of unlimited crores of universes. Aglanda Koti Brahmana Nayak. There is so much information happening. And all this unlimited number of universes. Why do you think I'll run out of news? This in India, this, just Bengal, Calcutta, there are so many newspapers. They'll never run out of news. Why you think I'm only one newspaper, I'll run out of news? I will never run out of news, So he started actually a newspaper also. So what is that? Apart from that, second thing is very interesting is language. His language, he would write, his articles, one in Bengali, mostly Bengali, but whenever he would write something in English, it's a very tough language. So that, one time actually Rampa Swami said this. Today I read, what is it, Brahma Samhita. Rampa Swami, English is, Rampa Swami is very scholarly. And he said, I read a paragraph. Even to understand a paragraph, Maharaj said you need a dictionary. That was is a Saraswati Takur standard, he wanted the scholars to appreciate the, the standard and appreciate bhakti in turn. Anyway, what is that? He recommended devotees Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Takur, Dasamula Siksha by Bhaktivinoda Takur, and Krishna Bhajanamrita by Narar Sarkar, and Prem Bhakti Chandrika by Narottam Das Takur. And somebody said it's Prem Bhakti Chandrika, Prardhana by Narottam Das Takur, and Updeshamrita. But anyway, basically Chaitanya Bhagavat and Dasamula Siksha by Bhaktivinoda Takur, Krishna Bhajanamrita, and Prem Bhakti Chandrika. Wow, Narottam Das Takur. And when his disciples would go and distribute 2 magazines, he would be very happy. He would distribute 2 magazines, and he would tell them, he would tell them, don't be disheartened. When his disciples would go and preach, he said, even if one person comes preach, if nobody is there, preach to 4 walls. And if you don't think, I suddenly remembered actually. There is something called a Bhakti Abhasa. So Rajaram Mohan Rai one time asked about, I don't know whether I should tell this or not, but it's important. I read it in a Bhaktisidhanta Vani Viva. He asked about his opinion on the famous mission that is there in Navadvip. You all know what it is. Very famous. The founder also went to, not founder, one person went to America, and in India is today very famous. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said it is abhasa. It's not pure. Because there is a consumption of meat. When there is a consumption of meat, then there is no, no, it appears like that, it is not. So Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur went to see him. They would say, hey, Gauranitai came, Gauranitai came, Gauranitai come. So then when they were there, everyone was, given meat. So of course, the point is, Bhaktiya Bhasa is different from Bhakti. Shraddha Bhasa is different from Shraddha. Shraddha and Shraddha Bhasa. Shraddha means Shraddha, pure Shraddha will lead to pure Bhakti. Shraddha Bhasa lead to mixed devotion. We all know Shraddha to Prema, right? When our Shraddha is pure, we'll go to pure Nishtha. Then we'll go to pure Asakti. Pure Ruchi, pure Asakti, like that. And that progression will go. But when the Shraddha itself is Abhasa, then what happens is, then our Bhakti becomes mixed. When Shraddha is a reflection, then what happens? It is not pure Bhakti. We have motives. One is when we do offenses also, our Shraddha becomes Shraddha Abhasa. When we know what is that, when we don't follow Guru's instructions properly, same thing. Then when we consciously cut the weeds, when we don't cut the weeds around the Bhakti creeper, and in fact we start growing them and we want, when we have adoration, profit, distinction, then the weeds grow like Bhakti. In fact, weeds appear like Bhakti Lata and they choke Bhakti Lata actually. Sometimes actually in Aparadhas become more, they kill the Bhakti Lata also. So that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this. So our process is very pure, but we need to have pure motives. We need to have a very pure motives. What is that? Yallaptava chapare labam manyatena adikam tata. Yasmin sthito dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. So what is that? Jagabandhu Prabhu. Can I take a little more time? So
Yes.
Jagabandhu Prabhu is the one, Grihastha disciple. He sold everything and he built a marble temple. That is Bhag Bazar Gaudiya Math. He built everything and that's where the problem came actually. So Saraswati Thakur met Prabhupada. Prabhupada met Saraswati Thakur in 1922. Ultadanga Junction Road. And that's where ISKCON acquired the temple now. And Bhakti Prabhupada was initiated by Saraswati Thakur in 1933 in Prayag, Allahabad, Prayagraj. So then, one day he met us. So when they built marble temple, so with their Prabhupada met Saraswati Thakur on the bank of Radhakunda. Agunjwal Bay. One day there will be fire in Gaudiya Math. Abhay Babu, whenever you have mind, whenever you have time, preach in English. Whenever you have money, print books. Actually, that time the instruction he gave us print books on the bank of Radhakund. But and how many of you been to Chatak Parvat opposite Gaur Gadadhar temple? There is a Gaudiya Math. In that Gaudiya Math, there is a room for Saraswati Thakur. In that room, from that room, he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada wrote Guru Maharaj Grihastha, actually Saraswati Thakur gave sannyas to 20. He gave sannyas to how many? 25 people. So I cannot. So I want to serve you, but I cannot. Because of there is no. I cannot the proximity. I cannot come close to you. I'm a grihastha with children, and you're surrounded by sannyasis, very difficult to come close to you. Then he wrote, you're very qualified, you preach in English language, that will do good to you and to the rest of the world. So when Prabhupada read it, he thought, this is the first instruction, this is the last instruction. Wow. But of course later, Saraswati Takur developed fever. Fever, and he came back to Calcutta from Puri. So what are his instructions? With utmost enthusiasm, preach the message of Rupa and Raghunath. Actually, now I want to tell one more thing. One time, a few reporters came and asked him about this, about the Siddhanta. Saraswati Takur started talking about Rupa Goswami. Suddenly he became ecstatic before the reporters, and he stopped his, they're going to write in the newspaper, right? So he stopped and he started crying and he went into the room. 3 days he didn't come out. He didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't pass, didn't evacuate, nothing. 3 days. He was so, when he was talking about Rupa, he was so choked up. 3 days he did not come out. So he loved Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. So he said his instructions, what are his instructions? Please listen very, very carefully. With utmost enthusiasm, preach the message of Rupa and Raghunath. Our ultimate goal is to become the speck of the dust of the followers, speck of the dust touching the Lord's feet, the followers of Rupa Goswami. For us is Prabhupada and our spiritual master and all the senior devotees. All of you remain united, under your spiritual master. Under your spiritual master. In order to please that Supreme Lord Krishna. Do not give up the worship of Hari. Do not give up the worship of Krishna. Even amidst hundreds of dangers, hundreds of insults, hundreds of persecutions. Don't be disheartened. Don't become unenthusiastic. Saying not many people of this world are not taking bhakti. Wow. So don't be disheartened to see so many people are not taking up bhakti. Don't worry. Become serious. You will go back to Godhead. Never give up the glorification and never give up Krishna Katha. This is your once a personal bhajana. It should be the all and end all. And always remain humble. Trunada Visunichana, humbler than blade of grass and tolerant than tree. And glorify Krishna. Wow. So yes, he established 64 Gaudiya Maths. He has 3 or 5 printing presses. And he invited the local Britishers, to inaugurate his temples. And actually, what is it? Bhaktivedanta Maharaj says, we cannot understand Saraswati Thakur mood. He even fed them, just to make connection. He fed even, what is not to be fed actually. Can you understand? You cannot understand. So those days, sannyasis driving in the cars was never heard of. Wearing a coat and suit was never heard of. Actually, one time, what he did, he established this preaching of exhibit through dioramas, because, for example, Bhakti Swami came up with the serials, right? What is it? Abhicharan serial. People want to see TV, all right, you see Abhicharan serial. So likewise, people want to see those days 100 years ago. He came up with dioramas and exhibits, variety in preaching. What is that? But when he went to the bank of Radhakund, this is Saraswathi Takur. Everyone thought he would speak, the Rasa Panchadhyaya. He said, "You are not the particular spirit soul." He spoke only Tattva, not Leela, because people are not qualified. Lord Chaitanya spoke only intimate past tense with Ramanandara and Sarudadhar Goswami. But with Prakashanand Saraswati and everyone, always Bhagavad Gita. So following the footsteps, Saraswati Thakur just spoke on Krishna's, what is it? He spoke the basic philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, that's it. Yes, our presence in this world is very, very temporary. Anyway, so he sent disciples to West. But he was very happy with their outcome. But he said one day, one of my disciples will go to the West and he'll bring the whole world. He'll. But the Lord Chaitanya's prediction is there. Lord Chaitanya said, every town and village, my name is chanted. So Lord Chaitanya, he will fulfill the prediction of Lord Chaitanya. And he looked at Srila Prabhupada actually and empowered Srila Prabhupada. So in the spiritual world, he was a Nayanamani Manjari, the glance of Radharani. Very empowered personality, Simha Guru. So what is the moral? No quarreling. One time Gauranga Prabhu said, if there is an internal quarreling, it was difficult, difficult even ray of Vishnu to handle. So what is that? People should not look for anything other than, so what today I said, what is it? I said, Saraswati instructions. One should become the dust of a speck of dust of the lotus feet of the followers of Rupa Goswami. Stay united, under the, under the floor, stay united under the lotus feet of spiritual master and to please Krishna. Don't give the worship of Hari. Even though we face trials and tribulations, our persecutions are insults. Don't be disheartened to see so many people not taking up Krishna consciousness. Because Bhavanam Janam, and it takes Krishna consciousness is not simple, not easy. And never give up speaking Krishna Katha. Always remain humble like a blade of grass and tolerant like a tree. Then constantly chant the holy name. So, what is that? Those days he employed latest technology. He had even animated dolls. He placed the Lord Chaitanya's footprints in many places. 64 Gaudiya months he started. And of course, is the biggest contribution, along with whatever I said is, Prabhupada cries, my Guru Maharaj saved me. So again and again, Takur came in his dream, Abhay Babu, take sannyas, take sannyas. Prabhupada wanted to help his mission by supporting through money, with money. But Saraswati Thakur had a different mission for him. My Guru Maharaj saved. Prabhupada cries like anything. You are all Prabhupada, all these American disciples as representatives of his Guru Maharaj. So he said, you're all representatives of my Guru Maharaj, and you're helping me, do what my Guru Maharaj wanted me to do. Thank you. Wow. We also cry, but Prabhupada purity, Prabhupada purity is amazing. Prabhupada came to Western world only for one purpose, just to please the instruction of his Guru Maharaj Saraswathi. So his order, Saraswati Takur, Prabhupada got the empowerment from the order of Saraswati Takur. And so Prabhupada took it to the next level. And he took it to the global level. What is that? Madhandrapur is the seed of love of God. Ishwarapuri made that into a plant, larger than you made it into a huge tree and spread everywhere. So likewise, Bhaktisidhanta Takur is a seed, of awakening, from everything from ashes, rising from ashes. And Saraswati Takur made it into a, thriving plant. So Prabhupada made it into a huge tree. But of course, those of you listening, yes, our presence in this world is temporary. I don't know how many of you understood by this time. How many of you understood?
Yes, Prabhuji.
If you have understood,
Yes, Prabhuji.
rather than wasting time,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, do as much as you can to preach. Preaching doesn't mean giving lectures, but preaching means engage people in the service of Krishna. Do your job, write your exams. But of course, who is valuing? Lord Chaitanya is valuing, Prabhupada is valuing. But only one goal. We may have impurities in our heart, but the desire should be clean. Whatever little, that one day Krishna should smile. Radharani should smile at me, thinking and seeing me. That should be our goal. Krishna should be, Lord Chaitanya should be pleased. Srila Prabhupada should be pleased. Spiritual master, with pride. He did a great job, beta. That should be our goal. If you haven't realized, at least, keep the desire one day, it will manifest. If not, why not? Actually, what is that? I just went recently, I attended a small thing. I was shocked. You want to hear? This lady told me her Sunday school, one Sunday school, how many of you want to know her Sunday school, one day Sunday school number? She's run Sunday school 7 days a week. You want to hear her numbers?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
She said one day Sunday school is 20,000 people, she said. How many?
20,000, Prabhuji.
Her just one day Sunday school number is 20,000 people. I asked her, how do you do it? So, I'm honest. So we need to somehow, what is that? I mean, that is, she said, that's one day. They have Sunday school every day and the different people. She said, she came on the stage and said, I represent the biggest Sunday school in the world, she said. Wow. So yes, we have the best philosophy. We have prasadam, everything the best. But, because we play safe. I think I'm talking about myself. We play safe. Prabhupada was not like that. Saraswati Thakur was not like that. So anyway, so the last line is he just the last line was say, he told the last few days Sri Rupa Manjari Sadha, there was a continuous kirtan. One day one person came with the instruments, he started singing. He said, no, don't. I don't want that. There is no bhakti in that. He told, tell Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Maharaj to sing. Then Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Maharaj, yes, he has bhava, he has love for, he has love for spiritual master. And, they had turns to chant the holy name, saying kirtan. So between devotees, 5 o'clock, January 1st, 1937, all the clocks in Gaudiya Math stopped. That's when Saraswati Thakur left the world. It is actually Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Maharaj who put Saraswati Thakur in Samadhi and covered him. The way Bhakti Charasam did to Srila Prabhupada. So the point is, become the speck of the dust of the followers of Rupa and Raghunath. Our bhakti is very pure bhakti. Give one lifetime to Krishna. Whoever you are, whatever you are. Sincerely from today. That is our contribution to Saraswati Thakur. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'm ending now.
Hare Krishna.